Hong Kong is Asia's world city, and New York to the east. A city with style, panache, and of course, taste. And the best way to taste Hong Kong? Through the eyes of its great chefs. Alvin Leung, often called the Demon Chef, knows this city. Some say he eats, lives, and breathes Hong Kong.
People in Hong Kong love to eat.
Stanley Wong moved to this city to explore his own Chinese roots.
Just a great, vibrant city.
And the incomparable chef Margaret Shu combines a love of modern design with a fascination for ancient Chinese cooking.
It's all about balancing your taste and your flavors.
Who owns this city? Who makes food and flavors sing in Hong Kong? Well, we're on it, right here, right now. 3 chefs, 1 city. Three Chefs, One City looks at the world's great food destinations through the eyes of its 3 most unique chefs. And this time, we're in Hong Kong, with 3 of this massive metropolis's great cuisine geniuses.
I'm Chef Margaret Shu,
I'm Alvin Leung,
and this is my Hong Kong.
and this is my Hong Kong.
I am Chef Stanley Wong, and this is my Hong Kong.
Stanley, who is Stanley?
German-Chinese chef Stanley Wong has appeared in numerous cooking shows. He trained under Chef Jean Georges at the infamous Spice Market in New York City and was an integral part of Nelson Mandela's inauguration. If you don't know him, you should.
Hong Kong is just a great, vibrant city, and on the hotel restaurant scene and on the individual restaurant scene, it has developed certainly quite a bit. Culinary is what people consider as a private kitchen. It's a studio. We designed a place decidedly, of course, very warm and welcoming. I don't want to create a stiff environment. It has to be down to earth. We don't have, for instance, tablecloth. People just feel at home immediately. The bad side about it is really that people don't want to leave, so we have pretty long hours here.
With a team whose philosophy is to inspire, invite, and indulge, who wouldn't want to hang around and enjoy Stanley's food for hours?
I worked with Jean Georges in New York and with Chef Greg Koons also. It was a great learning experience, of course, because every detail from the flowers on the table to the cutlery and everything is just impeccable. I worked in Europe, I worked in Switzerland, Germany mainly, and I worked in South Africa for a few years. Then I worked in New York before I came to Hong Kong. So I do like to use Southeast Asian flavors with a little bit more a Western presentation style.
Picking the best and freshest ingredients is the cornerstone of every chef's success. And outdoor food markets, known as wet markets, are well known in Hong Kong. A chaotic, friendly, and some might say unusual way to pick up your groceries. And Chef Stanley Wong is a dedicated expert.
I go to a wet market quite frequently. Hong Kong's wet markets are really vibrant. You see all people from all walks of life. I like to be in a market and also the freshness and everything, just to pick everything up and absorb everything. It just brings people together from what they call tai-tais, just the homemakers that have nothing to do all day and they come here and go shopping, to all the helpers and maids. Really, it's quite an interesting place.
It's always great to know where inspiration and cooking knowledge is absorbed. And with Stanley, that's pretty much everywhere.
I like to get inspired by looking at all the other produce that's out there. This place, even though in the back it's the butcher shop, but in the front they have different greens as well. Thinking of new menu items and dishes and presentations. It's quite a mix actually, because they have Western beetroots, but they have very Chinese local water spinaches and all sorts of different vegetables I find very interesting. Chinese people like their fish live and kicking.
Live and kicking is right. Wet markets are called wet for a reason. Filled with meat and seafood, they need a near constant hosing down of the mess. The result? Wet, wet, wet.
Fish has to be as fresh as possible because most of the times it is actually steamed, and like when you steam a fish, the freshness really shows immediately on the plate. So they're very particular how fresh it is. Like all the shrimp that you see here, they're all like still moving and alive, and all the fish are still kicking and actually jumping out of the cages.
Okay, the food in Hong Kong is fresh, but a little insider information, please. Where should we eat, Stanley?
Hong Kong is a great place for the street food, for the noodle places and the dumpling shops, and for the local food it's great because the economy is still thriving here. It attracts a lot of chefs from outside to come here and set up their business. I think this is something most gastropubs in the UK would probably get excited about because they are all in the innets and everything. Here in Hong Kong, although locally used a lot for the Westerners here, they shy away still a little bit of the offal. Some people call it not offal, it's awful.
The term offal refers to the eating of organs. Is it awful? Well, that's a matter of personal taste.
I don't buy my meat here, I usually import it, but I think it's always interesting to see how people buy the produce.
Taking the herbs, vegetables, and edible treasures into the kitchen is where all the magic happens.
I came to Asia to find my roots because I'm half Chinese. My father was from Shanghai. It is a very interesting, vibrant place. At this point in time, luckily, it's a very good market to be in.
There's something special about the arts of dessert.
The way I designed the dessert is a little more Japanese inspired. So obviously there's some cherry blossom, some yuzu, persimmon, black sesame, all those different Japanese flavors that come out and come to mind. We're always trying to come up with unique ideas. So I think it's quite stunning, like when it comes to the table and it's on fire. People get very excited about that.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
3 chefs, 1 city is in Hong Kong. And if you're a true foodie, this city has got to be on your bucket list. Hong Kong boasts over 50 Michelin star restaurants and even more reasons to eat. And one great reason to eat in Hong Kong is Chef Margaret Shu. This Hong Kong-born and bred former advertising creative is a self-trained chef, an advocate for organic cuisine, and, well, she's an unusual celebrity.
I'm Chef Margaret Shu, and this is my Hong Kong. People, say that I'm just playing, but I got recognized as a chef. I found myself very lucky. I thought there must be a mission here. The world doesn't need another chef. There must be something I can do. And I thought of, upgrading maybe the quality of Chinese food rather than making all fancy dishes. We should be doing back to basics, preserve culture, and then put it on the international table with a modern look. That's what I want to do. Welcome to my private kitchen. I call it yin yang because it's all about the balance of nature, balance of ingredients, some old, some new, some old with a twist of new. It's all about balancing your taste and your flavors.
It's true. Margaret's simple approach to food brings zen to a delicious experience. A true expression of yin-yang.
I have always been cooking, but never was a professional chef, as you call it. About 10 years ago, I started doing weekend dinners in the village where I learned new techniques and, lost methods. And people came a long way to my village and they loved it. I thought, oh, people are actually going to pay for my food.
As a chef and artist, Margaret takes issue with what has become a broad commercial definition of private kitchen.
Private kitchens, a lot of people think are speakeasies. But in Chinese history, there are people, for example, in the village, they have a small kitchen and it's not a proper restaurant, it's their own special recipes, they pick something special for you. That's a private kitchen. It's really like home cooked, something that the chef cooks. It's their own recipe. It's not something you get out of a restaurant or a standard sweet and sour pork or stuff like that. This tofu is made with marijuana seeds. I cannot find the ingredients that I like. So I started growing stuff on the rooftop. And then I found it very convenient and the flavors tasted so much better. There is a Chinese herbal drink made from these seeds. And when I was searching for information to tell my clients, I found out it's actually the seed of the marijuana plant.
A marketing exec, a farmer, a rooftop gardener? Wow, Margaret Shu does everything.
I like to do my own recipes. If you want to talk about like music, I'm not a musician that can play other people's tunes very well. I can only play my own because I'm not trained.
Okay, not everything.
This is a fresh squid ink glass noodle that I'm making. So all my recipes are all created by myself. I make them up. I get inspiration from China, mainly, Europe, everywhere. And then with all the elements that we could use to make Chinese food better and more attractive and more exciting, I use it because I see myself more like a creative director of food.
Every chef has at least one signature dish, and Margaret's yellow earth chicken is one of those dishes, known around the world and a mouth-watering must-stop when in Hong Kong.
So now I'm going to do my favorite chicken, the yellow earth chicken. The chicken dish is something that happened by accident because I wanted to cook Peking duck and I put a chicken inside this designer stove that I made and it became my signature. First I marinate it, but it's actually a very simple method. You just put the salt on the skin, rub it all evenly. Salt alone can make chicken skin very, very crispy. It's basically a twist of the old Chinese hung roasted chicken or Peking duck, but with my own flavors. And then I'm going to put my secret recipe wild ginger sauce. You probably haven't seen before. It grows in sandy soil. It's about this small. And I'm using just this wild ginger, extra virgin, and a bit of curry leaves that I grow. When I travel around the world, normally for work, I like to bring back ideas actually. I bring back ideas that I can put in my cooking. Because to me, cooking is an expression. Rub it inside the chicken and leave it there for about an hour, then it's done. If I've seen something interesting, I would bring the ingredient back, smuggle something in, whatever. I will try and grow them on my farm. I've done it before. I've brought in a Spanish potato because the potatoes in Spain are so great.
So Margaret is an innovator, and you've got to see what she does with plant pots.
At first, I started putting together plant pots in order to make Peking duck at home. I've discovered that Peking ducks cannot be made in an oven, no matter how expensive your oven is, because you have to hang it upwards so that all the fat drips down to the bottom. And so I made that 2 plant pots put upside down, and I tried to roast my duck in it. But then by accident, I put a chicken in it, and then it worked beautifully. And hence the yellow earth chicken. The chicken is cooked on very high heat, but it's all because of the terracotta, the heat conduction. What I'm actually using is a normal gas hob that you use at home. It's just one gas hob, but by the time the terracotta is lit up, it becomes very high temperature. That's the secret of the chicken. Ah, smells so good, don't you think? Sharing food, Chinese style, I think that's very special. I suppose you don't want the head. Look at the juice. Wow. See the skin? You see through it. No fat. And I think when people pick their own food from the plate, as opposed to where the waiters divide everything up and put like a scrambled version of what the chef put together on your plate, I find that very annoying actually. And you know what? Every time this chicken gets back, no one gets sick of it. Every day, this gets back, the best bit. We steal it from a carcass. That's your chicken. Bon appetit.
3 chefs, 1 city is in Hong Kong, checking out the sights, the sounds, and of course the unique flavors of this very special East meets West city. And nobody does gastronomic delight like Chef Alvin Leung. An international traveler and engineer by trade, Alvin Leung has taken to engineering food to the extreme.
I'm Alvin Leung, the Demon Chef, and this is my Hong Kong.
Come and visit here, and then I'll make you a proper meal.
This is Hong Kong. My restaurant is Bo Innovation. Bo means treasure in Chinese. And of course, innovations means to be creative. And I love the process of creating because, you see, basically you see an infant grow up. Just put it there. Put it there. And that really gives me a lot of adrenaline. I want to play with you. I want to give you a culinary experience where it's playful, it's exciting, it's fun, and sometimes could be scary.
Alvin is great, but he's crazy.
Sure, he's a bit of a madman, but Alvin Leung knows food and the variety of food you'll find in Hong Kong.
You have every kind of food in Hong Kong. From the West, you have very nice French restaurants, Italian, everything, as well as the best Chinese food. I'm not just talking about Cantonese. I'm talking about Sichuan, Shanghainese, every single style of Chinese food you can get here. There's over 100,000 restaurants in Hong Kong, and obviously they all can't be Michelin star. But there are some fantastic hole-in-the-wall, some secret places. The food is fantastic here. You know why? Because people in Hong Kong love to eat.
With every kind of international food on the menu, this city that never sleeps is a food lover's paradise. A place where people connect, experience, and even experiment with textures and flavors together. But Alvin is something special.
Here you see my restaurant and you see all surrounding me, all these residential buildings, offices. In Hong Kong, you have some of the highest skyscraper in the world. But in the midst of these skyscrapers, you find a wet market, for example. You find a dingy little restaurant. I mean, where else in the world can you have such contrast? I've been to a lot of places around the world. New York, London, LA, Sydney, Shanghai, Beijing. But Hong Kong to me is always special. You can have a fantastic Chinese dim sum for lunch, and for dinner, you can be in a 3 Michelin star French restaurant. I mean, where else in the world can you experience that? Nowhere. Everybody says about the vibrant, the energy of Hong Kong, the fast pace, the crowded area, the confined space. There's a zillion people. This creates a pressure cooker. I strive under pressure. Pressure forces me to do good, and this is what I love about Hong Kong. It's the pressure. I haven't been formally trained. I'm one of 2 self-trained Michelin star chefs in the world right now. Being self-trained has advantages. Instead of going through the formal training, we see things from a different perspective. And this allows us to be a bit more innovative and gives us a bit more courage because we don't know better. I want people coming to the restaurant to experience Hong Kong in the cuisine.
Alvin, like so many great chefs, embraces his work in his own way. Chef or artist?
This one's called the cloud, and you can see cloud in 3 different ways here. First, you see the mist, so as you're going down Hong Kong on your plane, you can probably see the clouds up there like mists of heaven. To me, that's very important because you're in Hong Kong and you want to see what Hong Kong's about. Secondly, if you notice all these symbols on top of this vessel, this is how cloud is drawn in Chinese calligraphy. My food is called extreme Chinese, and this is extreme with an X. And finally, you see a white sesame cloud over a marinated mackerel with Shaoxing vinegar, garlic, and underneath that, a cucumber. This is from a very popular dish from North China. X as in exciting, experience, and extremely, extremely expensive. This is inspired, of course, from dim sum, which is probably one of the favorite dining experiences in Hong Kong. From this particular dim sum, the crispy taro dumpling, where you have a taro, which is a root vegetable. When you deep fry, it becomes almost nest-like. There's a lot of young chefs working in my kitchen, and the reason is because the older ones won't listen to me, because I'm untrained. Inside that nest is a smoked quail egg. Now, smoked quail egg is actually a very, very famous dish based from Shanghainese cuisine. So this is nothing really new. And on top of that, caviar. As an engineer, I definitely bring a lot of my engineering background to cooking. This tree, designed by me, and the reason is I want to show off the bird's nest. Bird's nest is a very important symbol in Chinese culinary culture.
Engineer? Artist? Chef? Alvin, you wear so many different yet totally delicious hats.
The way we think, the way we create, the way we see things from different perspectives. It stands for family and fertility. There's a lot of food that's actually symbols in our culinary culture. The way we run a team, I think my engineering background has definitely helped me as a chef. Sometimes the food is there not just to represent something that's good to eat. It also represents, luck or some sort of symbol, which is very important in our culture.
So there you have it, a look at Hong Kong and its food seen through the eyes of those who define it. Chef Alvin Leung and his flair for the dramatically delicious.
Hong Kong, to me, is always special.
Stanley Wong from market to table.
It's a really interesting place.
And of course, Chef Margaret Shu with some very unique ways of cooking a bird.
Smells so good, don't you think?
Hong Kong is a fast-paced city filled with every type of food. One of the world's great food destinations. Revealed here on 3 Chefs, 1 City.